Same thing. There's a lot more cars out there than usual.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Was there? Albert? Janine, are we ready? Okay. Good morning. First things first, if you would put your phones on silent, that would be very helpful. And after, when you come up and testify, after you speak, if you would go over and see Eileen and just sign your name in for her. It helps us with the minutes after. So Eileen, you want to do roll call of officers?
Commissioner Zargis, Commissioner Herrera,
Here.
Commissioner Montañez,
Here.
Commissioner Lear,
Here.
Commissioner Castañeda, Commissioner Acosta, Chair Zerniak.
Here. Thank you. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Any changes or edits to the minutes of January 12th, 2023? No? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I move we approve the minutes from the annual meeting of January 12th.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Case number Z, I don't think we have any old business, Z22021.
Good morning. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Charlene Santisteban, 845 North Motel Boulevard, Las Cruces, New Mexico, 88007.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a solar project for a zone change and a special use permit, a Z22021 and SU 22044. The owner applicant is Mark Brewster. John Clifford is the agent. And I believe we have James on WebEx. The location is east of Las Alturas Drive and Interstate 10 in the Bracito area. The zone is a T3 neighborhood edge to a T2 rural. The zone change is on a 258.92 acres from a T3 to T2 to construct a 30-acre community solar generating facility to be known as the Mesquite 2 Solar with a special use permit. This is the location map. And this is the aerial photo of the property. And this is the site plan. The zoning map. It's to the north and east, it's federal land. The project will be comprised of a single access tracking system that will move slowly from east to west through the day, tracking the sun. The ancillary electrical distribution equipment with the project includes inverters and converters, the PV generated electricity from DC to AC power, and will connect to El Paso electric distribution system. The entire project premise will be contained within a 7 to 8 foot fence with locked gates with appropriate signage to prevent trespassing. Per the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission, with the Community Solar Act, SB 84 gives this, allows this to come into the community for a solar project. This is the land use aerial. And this is Las Alturas Drive facing north. And this is Las Alturas Drive facing south. This is facing east and west. The zone change evaluation requirements, the duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission, general notice requirements, zone changes, and decisional criteria. The general notification requirements, 23 letters of notification were mailed to the property owners in the area on January 3rd. Legal ads were placed in Las Cruces Sun News on January 1st, and signs were posted on the property in a timely manner. An agenda posted on the DAC website. These are the signs that were posted. And this is the area of notification. Decisional criteria, potential number of homes is no homes are being proposed. Population, no impact to population, no impact to demographics. The traffic will, during construction, will have a maximum head count of 60 people and may last 6 to 10 months upon the commencement of operations. 1 trip per month for operation and maintenance thereafter. As an unstaffed utility, it will not affect existing commercial or residential activity. The potential water and sewer needs. The project will not require any sewer facilities. A potable toilet will be brought in for the construction phase and then removed from the property. No existing infrastructure is on site. The environmental sensitive areas, there are no environmentally sensitive species likely to inhabit the site. One plant species, the Sneed's pincushion cactus, could potentially occur in the project area, and this will be determined if they need to do something with it by the New Mexico Fish and Wildlife Services and New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. 1 NMI ravine wetland, which has been identified and has been avoided in the layout. The proposed project is situated on rural vacant land located in a remote location away from public areas. The applicant has developed and implements best practices for all their facilities, both during construction and operation of the facility. The Mesquite 2 LLC has an option to lease with RB Brewster Limited Partnership. The proposed project will be situated on rural vacant land. The parcel is currently zoned T3, adjacent to Las Alturas Drive, the frontage road, and Interstate 10 to the west, with large tracts of vacant federally publicly owned land to the north and east, and will be contiguous to T2 zoned property to the south. Comprehensive plan, strategy 1, guide for future development patterns. Strategy 2, broaden economic opportunity. Goal 6.2G, 6.2, goal A, 6.2. Strategy 3, energy and renewable energy. The Miller criteria, the change is in conditions for the zone changes, the passage of SB 84 for community solar facilities, which requires a zone change to an industrial zone for a T2 with a special use permit. Currently, the only use zone allowing for a renewable energy facility would be an I1 light industrial zone. Staff believes that a transect zone such as T2 with a special use permit is more appropriate for the requested use, since the T2 is low density residential and allows for a minimum lot size of 2 acres. The SUP will only allow the proposed solar facility, requiring a new application for any future expansion. Failure to change the zone would deprive the owner of some economically feasible development of a passive use that encourages economic development and utility affordability for county residents. The proposed zone change does not require capital expenditure by the county. The applicant is proposing a passive commercial use as a utility, therefore transportation thoroughfares will not be significantly impacted. And it is not strip zoning. The zone change is not considered spot zoning. The change is in condition with this passage SB 84 for community solar requires a zone change to an industrial zone or a T2 T2 zone with a special use permit. A review of the surrounding land uses was completed to determine that the proposed zone change is not spot zoning. The property is bounded by federal publicly owned land, and T2 zone will benefit the community and provide with renewable energy, and it borders T2 property on the south. The findings: the property is outside of any incorporated municipal zoning authority, is within Doña Ana County, and the Planning and Zoning Commission has jurisdiction to review the case. The request of this application is consistent with the requirements of the UDC, general notice requirements of the UDC for the zone change. The zone change request for T2 does satisfy decisional criteria for a zone change and is appropriate for reasonably necessary to protect the public interest. The zone change to a T2 zone district would not be considered spot zoning. The zone change will not be in significant conflict with the comprehensive plan or other adopted or approved county plans and amendments. Based on the findings of fact, staff analysis and agency comments, staff recommends approval of case Z22021, a zone change on a 258.92 acre parcel from a T3 zone to a T2 rural zoning district for a 30-acre community solar generating facility to be known as the Mesquite 2 Solar Project. And you know we're taking 2 votes on this. I'm going into the SUP, the special use permit. Decisional criteria for the SUP is there's no construction. The maximum for traffic, there's a head count of 60 people. It may last 6 to 10 months. No new commercial or residential activities being proposed. There's no existing infrastructure on the property. There is no existing infrastructure on the properties on the project site. Only will require any new infrastructure. And there will be minimal impact to the transportation network. The environmental sensitivity, there's a sneak pincushion cactus, which will be addressed upon construction. There will not be any significant impact on the surrounding properties, which is generally public vacant land. Applicant will comply with best management practices. The property is outside of any incorporated municipal zoning authority, is within Doña Ana County, and Planning and Zoning Commission has jurisdiction to review this case. The request of this application is consistent with the requirements of the UDC. The request of the special use permit does satisfy decisional criteria, is appropriate and reasonably necessary to protect the public interest, and meets criteria of the Miller decision. The special use permit is in harmony with surrounding areas. The size of the development is appropriate for the area, and there will be benefit to the community by increasing the availability of community affordability for a solar utility, and will capitalize upon the region's solar energy resources. Direct access to Las Alturas Drive shall be by permit only from New Mexico DOT District 1 office. Comments from the fire department. The roadway needs to show that it can hold a fire apparatus of 75,000 pounds, and that there will be adequate turnaround for emergency personnel, reflected from the 2015 International Fire Code, Chapter 5. Comments from the Flood Commission, they were substantial, but they were for another site, and I have Michael Garza here to address that. Due to the Lawson Arroyo West Fork, which is not located in this area, he will address that. Staff recommendations: the applicant shall obtain approval of a zone change of case number Z22021 in order for the SUP to be allowed. Approved. A chain link fence or agricultural fence 7 to 8 feet high shall be constructed around the perimeter of the facility. A remediation and decommissioning plan shall be submitted at the time of the building permit submitted. The plan shall include the following: provisions for the removal of all structures and foundations, the removal of all electrical transmission components, the restoration of soil and vegetation, and a soundly based plan ensuring financial resources will be available to fully decommission the site. The anticipated means and costs of removing the solar facilities. PV modules will be disconnected and sold or recycled. All above-ground electrical interconnection and distribution cables will be removed and or disposed off-site. Chain link fence and gates will be removed and disposed, sold, or recycled. Galvanized and PC modules will be removed, disposed, recycled, resold, or reused. Concrete foundation shall be removed and disposed off-site. AC and DC wiring that will be connected and removed from equipment and earth will be considered consolidated for recycling on-site. Power poles and medium voltage wiring shall be removed unless poles were pre-existing. Reseeding the vegetation of vegetation layer where impacts occurred. And this concludes my presentation.
Questions?
I have one question. I see that it's a 258 acre parcel,
Yes,
and they only gonna construct the solar farm on 30 acres. Is there future development gonna be done on the other one? Because they're asking for the entire place to be, or the entire acreage to be rezoned.
I don't know. The applicant is on WebEx. That's a question for him since they have an option to lease the whole 258 acres. So future expansion would come, he would have to answer that question. For expansion for solar facilities, it will have to be another special use permit that will have to come before the commission.
Thank you.
Anything else? I guess we should hear from the applicant.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, this is
Yes,
James Wayne from Galehead Development. You all see my screen?
Good morning. I need to swear you in, please.
Oh, yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
James Wayne, Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Hey, hello. Yeah, I'm James Wayne from Galehead Development. Also on the call are my colleagues Avery Dunn and Spencer Shue. Here to present about the Mesquite PV2 solar project, community solar in Doña Ana County near Mesquite. So a little background on Galehead. We've been around since 2016 across 26 states. We have successful developments with many landowners and families across the country. We've developed 9 gigawatts of renewable energy projects, wind, solar, storage, over 40 years of experience, and financial backing from the Green Investment Group, which is a part of Macquarie, an Australian bank. We've been in New Mexico since 2019. We've developing over 300 megawatts of solar there to serve PNM and EPE. You know, we have a long history of citing successful projects and bringing projects to completion to being built. This project here is part of the community solar program, which I watched the December 8th meeting. I know you all have had many applications. I think that's great for Doña Ana County. I think there may in fact be 2 other applications nearby this project. And may the best project win. I think only at most one of those projects would be selected. So I think the PRC would only choose one of them, and I believe it will be our project. But just want to let you know that there's not going to be three community solar projects right next to each other here. So a little bit about this, yeah. So it's as Charlene said, it's just to the east side of Highway 10 there, on 30 acres of land. There's that one drainage which runs through the center of the project, which will be avoided. There's no listed, the one pincushion cactus was not actually found on the site, but the habitat could potentially have it there, but we think it's unlikely. But we will, follow all the New Mexico Fish and Wildlife regulations surrounding there. It's a 5 megawatt project. And yeah, so the bid submission to the PRC is coming up next week. And we plan to submit this project in. Selection will be on March 31st. And the subscription for the project will then commence, and they'll be finished subscribing folks who want to join, as much as 50% of which will be low and moderate high discount on their electricity bills. And construction, we're estimating to start early next year and finished in the middle of next year, with the project being online in the third quarter of 2024. I can speak more about solar in general or about this project, but I just want to leave it open to questions and comments. There was the comment about the project being on the 250 acre plot. We do have the whole parcel under option, and we're exploring a utility scale solar project there. However, that would be an entirely different permitting process, and would require a separate special use permit. So that's not something we're talking about today. So yeah, open to any questions or comments you have about the project, and looking forward to hear them.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant? Thank you. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor or against the proposed zone change and special use permit? No. Okay. Any further discussion? I'll call for the question. Zone change first, please.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the zone change for case Z22-021 for a 30-acre solar field to be built on a parcel of 258.92 acres. And based on staff presentation and recommendation, I move that we would approve this zone change.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying, oh no, do the roll call.
Mr. Chair, before roll call, it was mentioned, is there anybody here from the Flood Commission? Thank you. Mr. Chair, can we just get a quick statement from the Flood Commission?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good morning. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Michael Garza, Engineer Supervisor, Flood Commission, 845 North Motel Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, apologies for the comments that were in the packet. Those are for a different solar project behind a different dam. Believe it or not, it happens more often than we think. But the comments from the Flood Commission, I do have some revised ones that I can send to the applicant. It is below a dam, an EBID-sponsored dam, the wetlands that they're showing there on the site plan. The wetlands has nothing to do with the flood commission or the county, but there is a flood zone boundary that is significantly wider than the wetlands. All of my comments don't necessarily oppose the development in general, shouldn't affect the staff recommendation for special use permit or zone change, but I guess they'll be intended to give proper disclosures for what's going to be required of the applicant at the time of the building permit. And I think they may have some obstacles that they will have to overcome in design and presentation of the site plan. So I recommend that the applicant meet with the flood commission prior to doing so, so they can make sure that they're not wasting any time with their application submittal in terms of what they present. I know it was asked from the commission if they have any development outside of the footprint that they proposed. I would prefer if they moved it away from the flow path that's there, just because, for context, the dam that's up to the east off the map, it is a detention structure, meaning that it temporarily holds water, and so it has a riser behind the structure. Water fills up and is released underneath the dam. That's what this flow path is for. So when the dam fills up with water and the storm goes away, there's still water flowing along this flow path for several days, a week, after the storm is over. So during monsoon season, it will be a persistent issue for them to deal with. And I would have some issues with their operation and maintenance plan, for example, or perimeter fencing around the property and in its relation to our flood zone and everything, to make sure that the flood commission, EBID, any sort of sponsor of the structure still has access. It doesn't impact the discharge flow path and stuff. But point being that I'm not opposed to the special use or the variance. I just think the applicant should meet with us prior to building permit submittal.
So is this channelized?
It's a defined channel, yes.
Okay.
And it's not shown on the map, but pretty much, so when it goes under I-10, there's an NMDOT culvert crossing structure there. It's 5 or 6 culverts or something. And then about 200 to 300 feet to the south, there's another substantial crossing. It's 10, 12 culverts. The dam is equipped with a primary discharge that allows water to slowly release, but it's also equipped with a emergency spillway for very large events, in which case it will kind of wash out that whole area. All that's info that I can give to the applicant in a pre-application meeting, but there are some drainage concerns that they should be aware of in this location.
So you think you can handle this at the building application stage, building permit?
It's still pretty new for how we're reviewing it. It's only been kind of, solar panels have been coming in the last couple of years, but from what the Flood Commission does review solar panel building permits. And typically in the flood zone, we ask them to give us a site plan showing their array locations. And if it's in the flood zone, we also have a floodplain development permit. And in which case we ask for a little bit more detail, like is there footings, did they analyze any velocities that are going through there? Because I'm not opposed to them putting them in the floodplain in general, because they're typically off the ground. They don't prohibit flow, and I don't want any other permanent development. So if there's any development in the floodplain, solar panels are probably okay. But so long as the operation and maintenance and security of the site don't impact the ability for us to maintain our flood control infrastructure.
I have a question.
Yes,
Sure.
sir.
I guess it's for staff, more or less, on a T2, is there any other, what is allowed on the T2?
The T2 is a residential zone for 2-acre lots permitted on there. They can put houses on there, they can put mobile homes on there, and anything that's associated with like a farming, like buildings and animals and things like that.
Yeah, so before anything like that would happen, it would have to go through staff, through flood commission and stuff like that, because that is a serious flood zone there. I have seen it flood before into the freeway. So
Yes.
that's my concern.
Well, with this company's option to lease the 250 38 acres, there would not be, it would be for a solar facility. I don't know,
Not for anything else.
not for anything else at this point.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, also just for context, the flow path that comes from the dam, I guess the flood zone boundary itself, the FEMA recognized flood zone anyways, it spans maybe 50, 60 feet wide along that flow path, and then once it reaches closer to the highway, it sort of fans out to be wider to cover those culvert crossings I mentioned. Adjacent to I-10, it's about 700 feet wide at that area, but outside of there is no flood zone, so, I wouldn't have comments if there were a same sort of situation coming in on either end of the 250 acre parcel. It's just this specific location that these comments are valid at.
So you will have a chance to review this before the building permit? is it?
Yes.
Anything else? Thank you.
I don't know if I'm allowed to add comment here. But yeah, we would be happy to.
I'm sorry, who are we speaking with?
Who's
Sorry,
speaking?
this is apologies. This is James Wayne from Galehead Development for the
Okay,
project.
Sorry, you're delayed. You're delayed on the screen, so I wasn't sure who was speaking. Thank you.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we would be happy to comply with all of the flood zone recommendations. I know, we can do things like move the inverter stations out of the flood zones. We can be flexible with this layout. So we're happy to comply with all those from the Flood Commission.
Charlene, if the special use permit is for the solar panels installation, why are we approving it for the whole parcel?
Because they have an option to lease the property and the property isn't divided. If you request a survey for just that portion, I think that you could do that.
I mean, if they do anything else on this parcel, the special use permit that we're approving won't apply anyway.
Right. Yes, it would just for that 30-acre solar facility would be approved at this point with special use permit.
Okay, so the special use permit is just for the construction of the 30-acre community solar facility, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and future expansion would require them to come for another special use permit.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we've got a motion on the table. Are we ready to vote? Yeah? Eileen? This is on case number Z22-0-021, excuse me.
Commissioner Herrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lear,
Yes.
Chair Zerniak.
Yes. Okay, on case number SU 22-044, special use permit, I'll need a motion, which I hope would include the staff recommendations.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to move for approval of case number SU 22-044 for a 30-acre solar generating facility to be known as the Mesquite 2 Community Solar Project, just based on findings of fact and staff analysis and testimony given today. I would like to include all staff recommendation and just, I guess, just adding one condition, just to make sure that the applicant is still in close communication with the Flood Commission during the building permit process.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Eileen?
Commissioner Lear,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Herrera,
Yes.
Chair Zerniak.
Aye. Thank you. We'll move on. Case number Z22-023. Thank you, everyone. Albert, Charlene, let me ask you a quick question about this. This is, if it was T3, that's neighborhood edge. Isn't it, was that the appropriate zoning in the first place for that
Yes,
parcel?
it was a T3.
But I'm asking, why would we give neighborhood edge on that side of the freeway when it's so, I mean, T2 would have been a more appropriate zoning in the first place. My point is this, if you look at zoning and you think that it's wrong, and Chris, you talked to Christina about it, it seems to me that under the Miller criteria, you could come forth and say that there's been a mistake in the zoning made. And that the county could make the application to make the change rather than having the applicant do it.
I'm going to defer this to Janine since she worked on the whole process of the zoning.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do concur, since there is no infrastructure on that side of the interstate. But of course, every application is on a case-by-case basis. So in this particular case, we felt T2 was most appropriate, excuse me, especially since there was T2 to the south. And it would be a continuation, and it would not be spot zoning.
Yeah, it seemed like a better zoning in the first place.
That's correct.
Okay.
yes.
All right. So Albert, are you up?
I mean, just on that question right now, the previous zoning was ER 3M on that one. And if you recall back, I mean, the ETC had like 12, 13, 14 different zoning designations. So in an attempt to, just group those categories together, I think the ER3, because it was a 1 acre minimum, ended up getting that T3 designation
Okay.
on those. Yeah.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Albert Casillas, 845 North Motel Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Our third and fourth case today is going to be a combination of a special use permit and zone change for Mr. Dorsey and Mr. Romeo. They live out there on Brahman Road and El Centro Boulevard, so northwest of that intersection. Current zoning is D1, and it's basically two parcels that total about, a little bit more than 32 acres together. And they're requesting a T2 designation for a solar generating facility. And this is going to be known as the Las Cruces Renewables Solar Project. Well, here is a location map of the area. That's basically Brahman over here on the where my cursor's at. This is El Centro. We have Jackrabbit Road, which is a private easement going down the middle of those two properties. And then we have MacArthur Road over here on the west. So Brahman, El Centro, MacArthur. And that's just a close-up of the two parcels, about 32 acres each. And here is the zoning maps. Basically everything to the east is all federal land. And the property itself is surrounded by D1 zoning. When we kind of zoom out of the area and we look at the surrounding zoning designations that are there, these are the subject parcels right here. And then T2 pretty much around the town of Oregon. And then there's a couple T2 spots out here. And if I recall, these were recent zone changes that were done for solar as well. So we're requesting a zone change to T2 on about 32 acres. Really, the only traffic that's going to be there is going to be during the time of construction. MacArthur and the Brahman, they are both county-maintained roads. Jackrabbit's pretty much the only private unimproved right-of-way. Construction will probably last about 6 months. They're going to have small trucks, vans, construction traffic. So when the facility is under construction, the applicant, they're going to ensure that, their contractors and everybody else, they comply with SWIPs and everything else that's necessary to control dust. And, well, we've already talked about the community solar project. This is what's being proposed on the facility. So closer to MacArthur over here, this is the conceptual drawing for the facility itself. You're gonna have Jackrabbit Road right here, Brahman over here to the east. So mostly, most of the project's gonna be enclosed within MacArthur and Jackrabbit, and about half the parcel of that's between Jackrabbit and Brahman Road. Access to the facility, there's 2 access points that are being proposed, one through MacArthur, the other one being over here through Brahman Road. And that's just another aerial of the facility. And then just the following pictures. This is Brahman Road looking south from that eastern property. This is the subject parcel right here on the right. Just additional pictures. So this is looking at the property from Brahman Road. And then across the street, it's all federal land. Here's the notification sign, one of the notification signs that were posted out there. This is Jackrabbit Road. So I did a little bit of off-roading and then just drove into the properties themselves. But they had signs on Brahman, on Jackrabbit, and on MacArthur Road. I believe this one's called Indian Head Trail. So this is the road that comes off of Brahman into that first property. And here we're looking at MacArthur Road, and this would be the western boundary line of the solar facility. And then just looking at the property from MacArthur Road, looking east. So far, our staff analysis and notifications, 27 letters were sent out. No correspondence in favor or in opposition were received. Those are one of the signs that was posted out on the property, and that's off of Brahman and Indian Head Trail. Those were the properties that were notified. Our decision or criteria for D1, no homes are being proposed. There's really not going to be any impact to population, no impacts to demographics. Traffic is just going to be probably the most during the construction phase. This is not, it's neither commercial or residential. It's an unmanned facility. Potential water and sewer needs, mostly during the construction phase. Existing infrastructure capacities, there's really going to be little impact to existing infrastructure out there. No sewer or water facilities are being proposed at this point. There's going to be a little impact to the transportation network. The project's going to connect to the existing electric utility infrastructure and provide additional electricity to the area. No evidence of any negative impacts to environmentally sensitive areas, and we don't anticipate any significant impacts to surrounding properties. And of course, implementation of best management practices. We still have a special use permit to attach to this zone change, and if approved, of course, they're going to have to meet all the necessary requirements during the building permitting stage. Under the comprehensive plan, there's livability principles that this project meets. One of them is, including affordable housing developments, workforce during housing near jobs, utility costs, so making utility a little bit cheaper for the population. There's strategy 3, there's goal G6.2, there's goal G2.2 as well. For Miller criteria, and we've talked about this before, about how the code right now in a use zone only allows solar facilities in I-1, and then how staff feels that instead of issuing an I-1 designation to a property where we don't even know if they're going to be selected for the solar community project, that it's probably, you know, in the best interest just to keep it as a T2 along with the special use permit. That way, the T2 is still residential, it's still a 2-acre minimum, and the special use permit bounds it only to that specific use. It doesn't open it up to other uses. The zone change is appropriate as well, as there is compatible existing zoning designations. You know, there's not much difference between the T2 and the D1 designation. And then, of course, the passage of the Community Solar Act. So for our findings, like I said it before, it does meet the decisional criteria of D1. We believe that T2 is the most appropriate zone, along with the special use permit for this property. There's compatible existing zoning designations. The D1 allows for 1 single-family dwelling per lot, while T2, being a rural transit, it does allow for a mixed use, including single-family residential homes and ag buildings. The T2s must be 2 acres minimum, and so I mean that's already more of a it's less dense already than the D1, and it wouldn't be considered a spot zone. And of course, we do feel that it meets the goals of the comprehensive plan as well. So we are recommending approval of this case, a zone change on 2 parcels, being 17.61 acres and 15.11 acres each from D1 to a T2. For the SUP, the decisional criteria is pretty much the same as the D1 section for zone changes. You know, we don't anticipate any major impacts to traffic. There's really no, there's not going to be any much need for water and sewer once the facility is up and running. There's no evidence of any environmentally sensitive areas, and the impact of the proposed SUP is going to be minimal to surrounding properties. Best management practices will be used through conditions established on the SUP and during the construction phase of this proposal. And for our findings, the benefit, you know, a community solar facility will benefit existing residential developments as it is a renewable energy source that has legislative approval through Senate Bill of 84. The applicant will need the approval of zone change Z22023 in order to approve the SUP as well. So we are recommending approval of the SUP with the conditions. Those conditions, they're outlined in your package. So we do stand for any questions. The applicant's also here as well, and he's ready to give a presentation if necessary. And we do stand for questions.
Questions for staff? Albert, how do we get around the spot zoning issue? I mean, there's nothing around it. I guess it's, the T2 is a lower density zoning.
And that's how we've been looking at it. T2, 2-acre minimum. There is an option if somebody's doing a claim of exemption, which is like a one-time split, that they're able to go down to NEMD standards for 3/4 of an acre. But if it was a developer coming in, proposing, you know, just a regular subdivision or summary subdivision, that's a 2-acre minimum. But, you know, the reason I brought it, you know, I kind of expanded on the zoning map was just to show the commission that, you know, we have done other, you know, similar requests, you know, especially if they were like D1, off of, you know, Holman, and down closer to Highway 70 as well.
So as far as you know, the applicants are aware that this is a down zoning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any questions for staff? Let's hear from the applicant.
Good morning. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Sure. Stephen Treat, Nexamp Solar, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Stephen, can you spell your last name for me?
Treat.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So my name is Stephen Treat. I'm the Business Development Manager for New Mexico for Nexamp Solar. Just can give a brief overview. Sounds like everybody's pretty familiar with the community solar program and sort of the site requirements. But Nexamp ourselves just celebrated our 15th anniversary in terms of working in across the U.S. Boston-based company, although we have expanded to a number of other states as well, including New Mexico. So we are now about a 400-person company. Certainly, I think we've covered on a lot of the benefits of community solar at this point, but Nexamp, as the long-term owner of this asset, we do plan to own this project for 40 years while it's in operation. I think one of the things we want to focus on is being able to offer some workforce benefits during construction. We do intend to hire from the local workforce while constructing these projects if selected, and to try to be as much a partner in the community as possible. If anyone has any questions on sort of the typical equipment that will be installed, it's all pretty standard with our single axis tracker systems that will track the sun throughout the day. You can see the farm fencing that we're going to be proposing, so it shouldn't be very obtrusive or anything like that while providing the security that will be required. And then we will include sort of a 24/7 camera monitoring for the security of the system. And then we've certainly taken sort of precautions to control erosion as well as sort of stormwater management. And then I think that we mostly just have a few photos that are quite similar in terms of sort of the area of the site and sort of how we're going to be proposing to install and design the system. So yeah, short and sweet. Certainly can answer any questions that the commission may have.
Mr. Chair, Albert mentioned access off one of the roads. What are the roads cutting through this property? What are they going to be? How are they going to be maintained?
So I mean, we'll just have our standard sort of operations and maintenance team throughout the basically life of the project. So we'll just maintain them, however as needed. But typically it'll probably just be like a gravel road that will sort of develop during construction that will just remain, and then we'll be removing it at the end of the project life. So it's usually pretty straightforward, pretty simple.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor or against the proposed zone change or special use permit? Yes, ma'am. Please.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Razak Majeen.
Wait, excuse me. Pull the mic down to you.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, Razak Majeen.
Please state your address for the record.
Say again?
Please state your address for the record.
6985 Brahman Road. I'm the landowner right next door.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
I have just a simple comment. I bought this property in '89, and of course it was all barren up there then. It was beautiful. Property is going to be used in the future and everything. And about 10 years ago, I had my property moved over to solar. I have solar on mine. I'm a strong supporter of solar energy. I always knew that I would have a neighbor up there. And as far as I'm concerned, I couldn't have a better neighbor. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming in.
May I get you to please sign your name here? Can you come sign your name?
Any further discussion? Call for the question? I need a motion. On the zone change first, please.
Mr. Chair, based on the findings of fact, staff analysis, and comments, I would like to move for approval of case Z22-023, a zone change of 2 parcels, one being 17.61 acres and the other 15.11 acres, from a D1 to a T2 zoning district in order to allow a solar generating facility to be placed on that property. And include the conditions presented by the staff.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion, questions? Eileen, you ready to call the roll? This is on the zoning case.
Commissioner Herrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lear,
Yes.
Chair Zerniak.
Aye. And now the special use permit, please.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of case number SU 22-045, request for a special use permit to conduct a 32.72 acre solar community facility. Again, based on findings of fact and testimony given by staff today as well. And I don't believe there were conditions, and yes, to include all conditions recommended by staff.
A second, please.
Second.
Any further discussion? Eileen?
Commissioner Lear,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Herrera,
Yes.
Chair Zerniak.
Aye, thank you. Next case is Z22-024.
Albert, just a question. You did state in an email that Z22-025 and 047 were requested to be postponed. Is that still a request for today?
Commissioner, yes, but that's not the one that's coming up next. It's,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, when we get to those, we'll just,
Thank you.
we'll deal with them. Yeah.
Good morning. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Albert Casillas, 845 North Motel Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Our third case today, Commission, it's going to be another zone change and the special use permit. The property owner on this one, it's Margate Properties LLC, and this is kind of like on the northwest, the intersection of Holman Road and Slade Avenue. So it's up there by north of Highway 70. Zoning is D1. The property itself, it's about 125 acres, and they're coming in for a facility that's only going to be on 34.5 acres. The zone change will be for the entire parcel. That way, you know, in case they do decide to expand on the future, then it's just a matter of them having to apply for a special use permit instead of them having come back in again for another zone change. This is the location map, so it's basically west of Holman Road. This is the 125 acres being highlighted here. And when you look at the aerial photo, the property itself, it's just it's a desert landscape right now. When you look at the zoning map, there is it's kind of a, you know, out on the outskirts, right where the ETZ boundary used to be. So, you know, that's why you see you know, a combo of D1s and T2s, you know, surrounding the parcel. And if you expand out on the zoning maps, you know, you get the bigger picture of what the zoning looks like out there. So we are requesting a zone change from D1 to T2. Access will be from Holman Road, which is a county maintained right of way. Construction typically will take about, you know, 6 months, and during the construction phase, Chaberton Energy, you know, they're going to ensure that they meet all the requirements for, you know, stormwater pollution prevention plans and, you know, making all the steps necessary, you know, to control dust particles during the construction phase. We're all pretty familiar with the Community Solar Act. This is what they're proposing for their facility. So basically, this is Holman Road. You're going to have an access from Holman into the property and into the facility itself. And that's just an aerial of the surrounding area. So here I'm standing on Holman Road, looking south, and that's basically what the area looks like. You do have some homes across from Holman. They're sitting on anywhere from half an acre to an acre. That's about the average lot size out there, or east of Holman. When you look at the property, you know, it's pretty. Like I said, just a desert landscape. There's no buildings or structures on it right now. When you're looking north on Holman, you know, you get a little bit more of the same. You know, there's single family residentials towards the east, or on the east side. And I don't think those were from the previous one. 42 letters were sent out for this case. No correspondence received in favor or in opposition. That's just one of the signs that was posted out there, but so basically right there on that corner of Slade and Holman on the subject parcel, you know, they left a sign with some markers.
Did you put those up?
No, that was the applicant. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the first time I've seen that, you know, just so the sign stands out. And they did it for both signs out there. Yeah, 2 signs out there. Those were the properties that were notified. Our decision or criteria under D1, no homes are being proposed. Really, there's not going to be much of an impact to population or demographics. Traffic is only going to be, you know, affected during the construction phase of this facility. It is an unmanned facility. Water pretty much is going to be needed, you know, during the construction phase. After that, you know, there's no water or sewer anticipated for the facility. No evidence of any negative impacts to environmentally sensitive areas have been submitted, and we don't believe that it's going to have a negative impact on surrounding properties. And of course, for best management practices, you know, there's going to be some conditions established during the, during the special use permit and during construction. So we believe that this request does meet that section of decision or criteria for zone changes. Comprehensive plan, there is some livability principles that talk about, making, utility costs a little bit more affordable, and we believe that this project will help with that principle. And then, of course, there's strategy 3. There's goals and actions that support this zone changes as well. And like I said it before, the T2 staff believes that this is probably the most compatible zone out there available for the requested use. The only other option would be to request an I1 zoning designation, and we don't believe that's the right choice. The SUP will only allow the solar facility and nothing else, and any future expansions will require additional approvals of special use permits. And then, of course, there's also the passage of the Community Solar Act that's acting as a change of conditions as well. So for our findings, we believe that the zone change meets the decisional criteria for zone changes. We believe it is compatible with the existing zoning designations that are out there. We don't consider it a spot zone, and we believe that it meets the goals and actions of the comprehensive plan. Based on our findings, we are recommending approval of this zone change request on 125 acres from D1 to T2 to allow that 34.5 acre solar generating facility. For our the special use permit, the decision criteria is pretty much the same as I talked about earlier during my presentation. Minimal impacts to traffic. It is an unmanned facility. There's really not going to be any impacts to potential water and sewer needs or existing infrastructure. There's no evidence of any negative impacts to environmentally sensitive areas. There's going to be minimum impact to surrounding properties, and best management practices, of course, will be taken through conditions approved during for the special use permit and during the construction phase. So we believe that the request meets the decisional criteria for SUPs as well. And on our findings, like I said before, we do need the zone change to be approved. In order to approve the special use permit, the community solar facility will benefit existing residential developments as it is a renewable energy source that has legislative approval. So any surrounding property owners, they're going to be able to sign up for this community solar program. Our recommendation, of course, is to approve the special use permit with the following conditions. Those conditions, there are in your packet. And then, so we do stand for questions. That's the end of the presentation. We do have the applicant here as well with the PowerPoint, and I believe there's members of the public as well that wish to talk about this project.
Okay. Questions for staff? We should hear from the applicant.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mark Beverungen, and my address is 3022 Ramblewood Road, Ellicott City, Maryland.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to say thank you to the board for allowing me time to present this project. I've sat through a couple of these myself, so I know they can be a little bit monotonous, so I'm going to kind of cruise through this a little bit. And again, I appreciate the time. Shaberton has been working in New Mexico since 2020. We have an office in Santa Fe. We've engaged local civil engineers, installation partners with Positive Energy, and some nonprofit organizations to help with the subscriber organizations. If the project gets awarded, they'll help make sure we sign up the 50% minimum of low to moderate income subscribers. You kind of cruise through, we all know what community solar is. Community solar, again, the subscribers will begin, if awarded, around April. That's when we'll work with local nonprofits to actually engage the community to make sure we're signing up the correct folks. We're gonna be a good neighbor. We've got limited operational traffic, less than a single family home once the project is operational, with that temporary increase in traffic during construction. No noise impact. At the end of the project, the site will be decommissioned. There'll be financial surety put in place at the time of building permit issuance. The parcel, I don't think, is really a mess right now, but we'll clean it up and maintain it across the life of the project, up to 40 years. We're gonna, engage local installation partners, so there'll be positive local economic activity, improve the grid infrastructure. The project will pay property taxes for the duration. And again, 50% plus or minus of electricity produced will be allocated to LMI subscribers. These are just some financial benefits. It eliminates, the equivalent of 12 million pounds of coal burned, 27 million miles of a car driven on a passenger vehicle, and some CO2 captured by 13,000 acres of forest and 184,000 seedlings planted. So a little bit about how the sites are picked. Community solar is exactly that. It's very close to the community, and these reasons are because we need to get close to a feeder from the local utility that has the usage necessary, that we can also be in proximity to connect to. So sometimes I think the question comes up of, why not just park this thing way out in the middle of nowhere? But community solar is different than utility scale solar, and we need to be close to that existing infrastructure. So this site does match the box, tick those boxes. As Albert said, he went over the location. I do want to just highlight that the 34 acres that we're proposing is the area within the fence. The modules will be set back about 20 feet from there. And you can see that access pathway that sort of dissects the project will take up space as well. So it's not 34 acres of solar panels, it's 34 acres within that fence line. Some highlights is improving infrastructure, cleaning and maintaining the area. We'll have a chain link fence surrounding it for safety of this facility and the community. We do have a 300-foot buffer to the neighbor to the east, and that buffer goes from our fence line to their parcel boundary. So the home does look pretty close to the street. So it's only a few feet set back from there, and the modules will be about 20 feet back from there. So, it's going to be 330 or something like that. So that's a conservative estimate. And then again, as Albert highlighted, the remaining sides of the parcel are undeveloped with no neighbors. And we've met and exceeded the 25-foot parcel boundary setback. And again, that's to the fence line. The modules are set back a further distance from there, roughly 20 feet. And you can see on the north side, we've got about 300 feet. You can't even see the edge of the parcel to the west side, and then the east, we've got about 300 feet to that neighbor. These are just example view sheds. So this is a utility scale project in Chavez County. So what you kind of got to get close to see it. So we really are not having too much of an impact on the community as far as the view shed goes. There's some mountains in the very far distance here that you can still see if you look closely, but just kind of want to give a representation about what the community is going to see should the project get awarded. This is 250 feet setback, so you can see it a little bit closer, but again, not a huge impact. And then this is a little bit further away at 450. Do want to speak to the construction, just kind of, Albert did go through this, but all the deliveries are going to happen within the parcel. That road that dissects the project when it be used for the construction, the deliveries will come there and get dropped off for the installation crews to work with. So we won't be blocking the street. We won't be getting in people's way. We're going to be kind of out of everybody's hair, so to speak. And again, the post-construction traffic is less than a single-family home. And we're going to work normal business hours. If anyone has any specific requests, we can certainly honor that. Construction, we're looking to start around Q4, about 18 months after the project, if it gets awarded in April. That gives us time to permit, procure, and line everything up. So towards the end of 2024, we should be looking to conclude the project. This just speaks to the noise. And kind of summarize this. So it's basically the inverters that are located on the interior of the project, close to the center, which if the fence boundary is 300 feet away from the closest neighbor. The transformers and the inverters are going to be much further away. And they make the noise equivalent to a refrigerator. So it's going to be the equivalent of plugging a refrigerator in and walking about more than a football field away. It's not something that you're going to hear. And the solar panels themselves are silent, so should be no noise impact to the community. This kind of touches on just the recyclability of the project. The inverters, transformers, and racking can be salvaged and scrapped. The rest of it will be recycled appropriately at the end of the project life cycle, and the soils, we'll remove that road, like you asked the previous candidate, and the site will go back to its current condition at the end of the project cycle. I do want to highlight the community engagement. Albert mentioned this. We actually held a meeting last week on the 19th, so we definitely want to make sure we're engaging the community and making sure the community solar project does benefit the community. So contact information, thank you again. And I really don't have any points beyond that. I will sort of echo what the first applicant said is, I know you guys have had a lot of applicants. The community solar program only has 200 megawatts total, with your average project size being 5 megawatts. It's 40 to 50 total. Some will get a little bit smaller based on site specifics, but that's statewide. And I know the community solar program is looking to spread these out across different utilities. So as the first candidate said, approving this now, it's more of a first down than a touchdown for the project. We get through this process, but we still have to be awarded. We still have to go through the utility, site impact study process. So that's all I have to add, and I appreciate the time and open for any questions.
I have two questions for you. What's the smallest community solar facility you've ever seen?
I've seen them down to like 2 megawatts.
2 mega, and what would be the parcel size?
That's closer to like less than 20 acres.
Less than 20 acres. And how do you contact people to let them know that they can join this as a program to help them save money?
So we pull the deeds of the parcels within 300 feet, and then from there, we try to just reach out to the community with letters first, which not always effective in 2023, but we do, reach out to folks to make it aware. We post, in local papers for community meetings and try to engage folks from there. But we also engage nonprofit associations. In this case, Prosperity Works. They do this day to day, so they have much more thorough infrastructure. We stick to the development of the project and kind of reach out to other folks to help us with that engagement.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Arnie?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm curious as to, companies are coming to us and they're asking to approve a zone change or a SUP change on 125 acres, 150 acres, 200 acres. But the project is only 30, 40 acres at most. Why is it that, has there been any question from staff or companies why they don't do the whole 9 yards instead of just a small parcel?
Commissioner Herrera, Chair Zerniak.
Yes.
The idea of, well, just to clarify, the zone change is for the entire parcel. The zone change is for the entire 125 acres. What we're saying is that the SUP is limiting them to what's being proposed, which is the 30 acres. And if they wanted to expand on that, then they would have to come back and submit for a special use permit to expand. Not for a zone change, which requires an automatic public hearing, but they can try and get the SUP administratively, unless there's a neighborhood opposition to the request. But at least we're saving the applicants, a step of having to go through the public hearing process for zoning the rest of the property. That's how we're looking at it. So the zone change will be for the entire parcel. The SUP is just limited to what's being proposed right now.
And I understand that, but my question is, why why a development of such a small parcel compared that you can use the entire, or request to have the entire parcel used as a solar farm? Is there a state statute saying you can only do small parcels, or is it just companies, is it financial?
It's more just the outside entities that we work with, the community solar program, and then the utility. So this is a community solar program, which is, those projects are 10 megawatts and less. I may be incorrect, but I believe the New Mexico Community Solar Program limits the projects to 5 megawatts. So that's the first thing, is that we're operating within those parameters. A utility scale project are usually 100 megawatts plus, which this site wouldn't even, there's no way. If we're at 34 acres, if you multiply that by 20, we would have to take up the whole parcel. So there's that within the community solar program, that this particular site wouldn't fit a utility scale project. And then there's the utility themselves. You'd have to build a bunch of different, more infrastructure in order to tie in additional projects here. There's minimum daytime loads and a lot of different parameters that the utility holds you to make sure you can interconnect a project. So between the community solar program and then EPE's standards, we sort of settled on that 5 megawatt project. So in the end, the whole project is being zoned T2 for this case, and we do appreciate saving the step of having to go through that. And this SUP, I don't believe there would be any additional development on this site, just given those specifics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for the applicant? All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or in opposition to the case? Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is James Brown. My address is 115 Slade Avenue, Las Cruces.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question for Albert here. Do you have a list of the people that you sent letters to? Because I know we never received anything. It was pointed out that it was, they were sent out on the 12th or the 13th, I believe, of December, but we never received any notification. The first time we saw it was just with the sign on Holman.
I think he
We
has,
do have a list of addresses it was sent to.
he has it.
Yeah, we have a list right here.
115 Slate.
I don't have that address.
Because we're on the house just to the east of the house that was shown on Holman, just opposite of where the facility is going to be built.
I think your property is probably located more to the west, because here's Slate, and we just picked up the properties that are right on the frontage. of
Albert?
Holman.
Okay.
So I think you're farther outside of the 300-foot notification.
Really? Okay. I was going to ask also too about the noise level and everything, but that was explained, so I appreciate that. That's basically, Commissioner, all I had. I was
Thank
just
you.
curious about why we didn't get it.
Thank you for attending. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay. Any further discussion, questions? Call for the question on the zone change.
Agency comments, I would move we approve case number Z22-024, a zone change on a 125.56 acre parcel from a D1 to a T2 zone in order to allow a 34.5 acre solar generating facility to be known as the Chamberton Solar Dona Ana Peak Project.
Can I get a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Eileen?
Commissioner Herrera?
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez? Yes. Commissioner Lear?
Yes.
Yes.
Chair Zerniak?
Yes. And on the SUP, please.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of case numbers SU 22-046, request for a special use permit for a special use permit on 125.5 acre, or 6 acre parcel. I'm sorry, give me a second. For a 34.50 acre parcel, or solar generator facility to be known as the Chamberton Solar Doniana Peak project. I do not see any, conditions to this. There were conditions.
Albert, you had conditions, didn't you?
I don't know why I lost the conditions.
Yes, there. Will, can I go to back to the PowerPoint?
I moved quite a few of these around.
They're on page 115.
Yes, in your packet, it's going to be page 114 and 115.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just restate my motion if possible.
I'm sorry.
I'd just like to restate my motion.
Okay,
if possible.
okay.
Based on findings of fact, staff analysis, and agency comments, testimony given today, Mr. Chair, I move for approval of case number SU 22-046 for a special use permit on a 125.56 acre parcel for a 34.50 acre solar generating facility to be known as the Chamberton Solar Doniana Peak Project. And this motion to include all staff recommendation.
A second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Eileen?
Commissioner Lear,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Herrera,
Yes.
Chair Zerniak.
Aye. Thank you. So the next case I have on the agenda is Z22-025.
Chair, yes, on 5G and 5H, submitted by Ruben Grandin for PBL Lobos, we're requesting that the case be postponed to a date specifically. There was a disagreement between the applicant and the property owner, so, and hopefully, they're able to work something out, and that instead of, rescheduling and having to re-notify everybody else again, we're hoping that maybe like within a month, they're able to work out those details. And if they do, then we'll just hear it again on the second hearing of February. And if not, we'll just postpone indefinitely.
Okay. So we'll move to case Z22-026.
Yes.
Okay.
Does there need to be a vote for postponement? Okay. Do we need to, does the PNC need a vote to postpone?
Do you need a motion? Okay. So we need a motion and a second to move case Z22-025 and Z22-047 to a date certain. Do we have a date?
It would be February 24th.
February 24th.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for postponement of cases Z22-025 and Z22-047 to be heard on
The 24th.
February 24th.
Okay. 9 a.m. in the County Commission chambers. A second, please?
I'll second.
We can do this by voice vote, can't we? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chair, I'm
Yes.
requesting a 5-minute break, please.
Okay. Take a break for 5 minutes. Eileen, you want to swear Albert in for, this is case Z 22-026.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Albert Casillas, 845 North Motel Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Commissioners, for our last case today, something that's not solar, so.
What?
No solar, we'll end with a bang today. The applicant, Manny Cervantes, this property is located on 170 McCombs Road. It's the southern, portion of McCombs Road in Chaparral, close to the New Mexico-Texas border. And it's right immediately east to the transfer station that's there in Chaparral. Existing zoning, and that's what type right there, it's a T2, it's not a T3. Everything around there is T2, and the request is to go on 3 acres from a T2 to a T5 zoning district. And this is to allow a 2,700 square foot commercial building with multiple retail spaces. This is a location map, so this is McCombs right here. That's the State Line Drive, so everything south of that is Texas. The transfer station's gonna be right here, and I'll show you in the aerial right now. But basically, this is that McCombs area where, you have mostly a mix of commercial. There's gonna be some light manufacturing out there and some single-family housing as well. But when we look at the close-up photo, currently, I think it's about a 9-acre parcel. So Mr. Cervantes, he ended up doing a claim of exemption on this property to split it out. It's just, it's not showing on our parcel map yet, but he basically has 3 acres fronting McCombs Road. So it's about 600 feet this way and a little bit less than 200 feet into the property. So that's the 3 acres that he bought. So he basically has that whole frontage.
Albert, does he own the whole parcel?
No, just the 3 acres. So this is about 9 acres right here.
So are we only considering the zone change on the,
On 3 acres, yes.
okay.
Yeah, and then it will be tied into that. That's the new parcel number that's on your, on the analysis. And that's what identifies the 3 acres.
Okay.
When we look at the zoning map for the area, this is the subject parcel right here. So everything south of, the McCombs, starting at this point, it's basically T2. We do have T5 here, and then basically, everything running along McCombs. But there is existing T5, and that's about maybe 2,500 feet right here. And then there's also T5 down here at that northeastern corner of McCombs and State Line.
Is there anything operating there in that T5 zone?
Not, this one's vacant. This one right here, every year they have fireworks sales on there. So that's one of the ones that are grandfathered in for fireworks. And then, if we take a little bit more back, a couple years back, they actually had to apply for a non-residential application in order to operate that fireworks stands. And to my knowledge, they're there every year. But it is zoned for T5. And this little one here, I'm not sure if it's an O'Reilly's or an AutoZone. It's one of the two. And then you have the Steyer's supermarket here, gas stations. Close to this property, this is where we did an SUP not too long ago for another cannabis, or for a cannabis facility. We did a zone change, I believe, here on this property as well to a T5. But most of the T5, like I said, I mean, it's along kind of like the main town side of Chaparral. But we do have, T5 all along McCombs. You might also recall that we did, we've done special use permits here too. We did one, I'm not sure if it's showing here yet, but there was one for solar as well. And also on this property here, we did so there's basically 2 SUPs out there for solar facilities as well.
Albert, I'm sorry, on the south end of McCombs, when you're talking about the fireworks operation, are there permanent structures there, or are those temporary firework?
I think
stands?
those are temporary.
Okay.
I mean, I was out there this week, but I don't recall if I saw like a container out there. I don't recall that. But every year, they bring in all their, all their tents and all that stuff.
Thank you.
So prior to the UDC, the property was zoned a performance district. They got that T2 designation after the UDC was adopted, and McCombs Road is a county maintained road. So the applicant's requesting the zone change on those 3 acres that he just split out recently, and that's to allow a commercial building for multiple retail spaces. And he is planning on expanding in the future on those 3 acres. This would probably, this would be considered like the first phase of the project. Later on, he's proposing on adding potentially 2 or 3 more retail locations on the site. The applicant is stating that there is a shortage of available retail locations in Chaparral, and understands that this commercial corridor is an ideal location for new businesses to come into Chaparral. And then, per the applicant as well, his goal is to keep building new retail buildings on the remainder of the property to accommodate the demand as the Chaparral community grows, providing more employment to the residents, as well as new options and opportunities for new businesses to get started. So phase 1, you basically have the 3 acres here fronting McCombs Road. That's the 2,700 square foot proposed retail building, and that's the parking area. And I did ended up zooming in on that just so you guys can get a better view of that. So he's proposing to have some entrances in there. There's going to be the parking area, and then that's going to be the retail building with some landscaping and some ponding area. Of course, just keep in mind that this is still conceptual. He's still going to have to, if approved, he's going to have to come back in and submit the grading and drainage plan and all of the construction drawings. And then this is just an aerial of what the entire property looks like. Like I said before, that's the solid waste transfer station right behind the subject parcel. This is that other T5 zone that was there. It's just a graded lot right now that serves temporary uses. I believe this is a station for El Paso Electric, and then the rest of the T5 to the north of the parcel. And here we're looking at the parcel itself. Currently, it's vacant, just natural landscape. You can kind of see where the town of Chaparral lies from where this picture was taken. And basically here I'm just standing on that road that goes back to the transfer station. That's where I'm at. And then just another view. So basically I'm standing at the southern property line here of those 3 acres. This is the road that goes back to the transfer station, and you can see the fence back here. And here we're just looking at McCombs Road. So here I'm on the southeastern corner of the 3 acres. And then basically that's Texas right here. That's the electrical substation that's there. And that would be about the area where that other T5 is located. And now I'm just looking along the frontage of those 3 acres. So far as staff analysis and notification requirements, 13 letters were sent out. No correspondence in opposition or in favor were received. That's a picture of one of the pictures of the public hearing sign. Those were the properties that were notified. For the D1 decisional criteria, no homes are being proposed at this time. There's really no impact to population or demographics, potential traffic flows. The applicant did submit an FCA. He's anticipating at least 45 trips or 45 AM peak hour trips and 66 PM peak hour trips. The roadway frontage will be 663 feet, and there's potentially going to be there 8 employees. Like I said it before, McCombs, it is a corridor of mixed uses, and existing uses and include a retail. There's offices, there's light manufacturing, all which are all allowed under that T5 designation. Water will be provided by Lake Section Water, and the applicant's going to install a septic tank. There's really going to be little impact to existing infrastructure capacities. There's no evidence of any endangered or rare species of animal and plant life in the area, so there's little impact to environmentally sensitive areas. And then there's no impact to surrounding properties. I mean, basically everything around it, it's pretty much vacant. You got the solid waste station behind this parcel, and then we've approved 2 solar facilities right across from McCombs. And then, of course, if approved during the building permitting phase, the applicant will have to meet all the best management practices. So we believe that he meets the decisional criteria for 4D1. When it comes to the comp plan and meeting the goals and not being necessarily in conflict with those goals and actions, we can look at the goal G2.2, action A2.2, G6.7, and G6.10. 6.10 basically talks about, keeping money inside, Doña Ana County, making sure that it doesn't go out to Texas or Mexico, supporting small scale businesses, and then just planning for appropriate locations for commercial. When it comes to the Miller criteria, we believe that the zone change is appropriate as there is compatible existing T5 designations. There's some recent SUPs that were approved for community solar. The applicant does say that one of the proposed businesses will be a cannabis retailer, which would be allowed in the T5 zone by right, since the property is 300 feet away from any existing residential uses. This is even promoted further by the passage of the Cannabis Regulation Act, which could also be considered a change of conditions. We don't believe that this is considered a spot zone. It is in harmony with surrounding areas and zoning designations. The size of the development is appropriate, and we believe that it will be a benefit to the community by increasing the availability of retail locations and supporting small businesses. So far as staff findings, like I said it before, it does meet the decisional criteria for zone changes. We believe that T5 is not going to be a spot zone, and it is pretty compatible with what's already out there. We don't believe it's going to have any significant impact on surrounding properties. And like I said it before, it's not a spot zone, and it's going to support small businesses and provide additional retail locations for the Chaparral community. We also believe that it's not in significant conflict with the comprehensive plan or any other adopted county plans. So for case Z22026, we are recommending approval of a zone change on 3 acres, going from T2 to a T5, and this is to allow the 27 square foot commercial building with the retail spaces. So that's the end of our of staff's presentation, and we do stand for questions, and the applicant is here as well.
So the balance of the property will remain T2?
That's correct. And like I mentioned, the applicant did just get approval for a claim of exemption, so he owns the 3 acres, and who's did you buy it from? Blythe Cattle Company would own the remainder of the property.
Okay. Any other questions for
Yes,
staff?
just for Claire, this is the first time that Albert, this is the first time that I've ever seen a proposal for only 3 acres, only a certain portion of a full parcel to be rezoned and not the entire parcel. Can you just give me an explanation on how exactly we're able to do that? Will this be subdivided into a new parcel once approved into a new 3-acre parcel that's only a T5?
So just to clarify, we're not partially zoning a property.
Okay.
It's the entire 3 acres. And those 3 acres do exist. It's just that it hasn't been updated yet on the county parcel map. But it will be for 3 acres that, legally exists. The applicant ended up applying for that claim of exemption. It does have its own parcel number.
Okay.
So it is a separate property.
So
Thank you.
once the claim of exemption goes through,
Yes.
but currently,
No, it's already been approved.
oh, okay.
Okay.
It just takes a while for the parcel maps to be.
Okay,
Thank you.
to be
That
updated.
makes,
Yeah.
okay, that clears up a lot. Thank you.
okay. Anybody else? Let's hear from the applicant.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Manuel Cervantes, 205 Paloma Blanca, Chaparral, New Mexico.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning.
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 I think it's, fair that I make it quick for the sake of time of all of you guys. But it's pretty basic what I am proposing or what I'm requesting to do with this parcel. Like Albert mentioned, we recently purchased the 3 acres out of a total 21-acre parcel that originally existed there, split up by the county road to enter the waste facility. So about a year ago, I encountered a shortage of retail spaces available in Chaparral for a business of my own, which kind of led me little by little to say, you know what, if there is none available, I might have to make one available. And if in the process I can help somebody else, I'll also find a better location, a newer facility for their upcoming business or whatnot, might as well. So we ventured into that. My partners and I, we reached out to Blythe. They were okay with us splitting up their 9-acre parcel. We got those 3 acres of frontage road, which is great for retail facilities. And we started the process, we got approved, and now this is the next step to get a zone change so that we're able to start with phase 1 of the buildings, which would be this, about 2,700 square foot, maybe 2 to 3 different locations, depending on what the my customer, whoever was gonna rent from me would want, a smaller 900 square foot retail space, or maybe, split it up in half, with the other half being for my own business, which is what got me here to begin with about a year ago. So I think it's a great location, right at the entrance of Chaparral. I want to say that McCombs is probably the busiest entrances to Chaparral. There's a couple more, a few more. But I believe this is a very good location, not just for the people driving through there, but for any of us that might take up some space in this shopping center per se. So, yes, sir.
The Blythe family owned the whole parcel?
Yes, so as a matter of fact, they own, if I can go back here, they own pretty much this, and this, if I'm not mistaken. So what I reached out for was these 2, which were split up by this road. So this used to be 1, now it's 2, and then this one is what I split into mine.
So isn't claim of exemption family related? Can anybody use a claim of exemption?
So we come across 2 major types of exemptions that are submitted. One of them is a family one, where each family member is entitled to a piece of, of the property or to one lot. And then there's the the number 13 claim of exemption, which allows one property owner to do a one-time split every 5 years. So if you owned a 10-acre parcel and you were not in a subdivision and you wanted to, just sell, 1 acre off of it, you can do that under the claim of exemption, but you're only limited to one split every 5 years
So if you're not in a subdivision,
if you're not in a subdivision.
okay, okay. So that's what you used, okay. I needed to understand that. Thank you, Albert. Anything else?
No, unless you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Suarez.
Thank you for your time.
I don't think there's anyone here in favor or in opposition. So further commission discussion. And if not, we can call for the question.
Mr. Chair, based on the findings, staff analysis, and comments today, I would move that we approve case number Z 22-026, a zone change on a 3-acre parcel from a T2 zone to a T5 zone in order to allow a 2,700 square foot commercial building with multiple retail spaces.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Eileen?
Commissioner Herrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lear,
Yes.
Chair Zerniak.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cervantes. Good luck. Administrative approvals? Okay. Any staff input? So, just a question, do you have any idea how many of these solar projects we've approved?
No, I don't. We need to go back and count.
Is it more than 20?
Oh, yeah.
We can get a general idea just on the case numbers themselves. I mean, we're already up to 47, and if at least half of those were just for solar, then yeah, about 27, 30 of them, maybe.
But you did mention there was some kind of deadline that a lot of these solar companies are trying to meet.
So, one of the reasons today we had like 3 back-to-back was because they're all in a rush to meet the January 31st deadline of submittal. So what's going to happen today, because we're not going to get an order for them, we're at least going to give them like an action letter, like an approval letter, letting them know that, hey, yes, in fact, you were approved today by the Planning and Zoning Commission for the zone change in SUP. And then, yes, there will be an order drafted and then signed, and we'll send that at a later date. But at least that they have something to present at the state.
So why the 31st? What's the
That's the deadlines that they set up.
The state set that, yeah.
I think the deadline for submittal would be January 31st, and I think they're gonna make their picks by April, I think.
Wow.
Which was interesting, because he's saying that the state's only allowing 200 megawatts. And then, so if most of them have been for 5, there's only gonna be about 40 of them that are gonna be selected, so that's interesting.
And they've been approving these things all over the state, haven't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a battle.
I think we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.